right, welcome back to Anything Outdoors with Steve. Today I'm gonna play around in the lake. I got myself a drill powered prop that you can hook up to any drill. It's got a little floaty in case it comes off if you've got one of these drills. That's right, I'm making fun of Ryobi. All right, so what I've got with me is a DeWalt 5 amp hour 20 volt. So this is not a fair comparison. So before you keyboard warriors start criticizing everything I'm doing here, keep in mind everything I do is out of my own pocket. I don't have access to 20 different drills to try out 20 different designs and powers and amperages, and so this is not going to be a fair comparison by any means. What I have is a DeWalt 20 volt 5 amp hour battery. All these are fully charged except for what I just did there. A Ryobi 18 volt 4 amp hour and a Ridgid 18 volt. The amp hour is not listed on it, but the battery says 27 watts on it at 18 volts. If you want to know your math, you divide your watt hours into your voltage and that comes out with your amp. So 27 into 18 is 1.5 amp hour battery. So like I say, definitely not a fair comparison. All right, let's get to it. This is the Ridgid 8608. Let's just go for it. I'm going to go ahead and grab onto the shaft. We're actually going about 1.5 miles an hour. Okay, so that is in speed 1. And one thing I forgot to do is I am going to track how far each one of these batteries will take me. Now I doubt I'll be able to use up the DeWalt drill battery before we're out of daylight. So we'll see what we can get out of at least the Ridgid and maybe even the Ryobi. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording now, and I'll do a separate recording for each. This will track top speed. Let's get my phone away. This will track top speed and distance for each one of these. Okay, so that was in speed 1. This has a 2-speed gear on it. Here's speed 2. Wow, I can feel the force difference. And if you let go of the shaft, if you let go of that shaft, you definitely feel the difference in how it how much torque you have. So you do slow it down quite a bit holding on. Okay, let's see how well turning is, because I should. Yeah, there we go. Wow, so you've got pretty good turning. Wow, and it wants to tilt you pretty good too. You do have pretty good turning ability. Now it wants to strafe me sideways if I go full out like that. Yeah. See there, it pushes you fully sideways. As soon as you stop, you turn right back again. That's funny. I don't have much of a keel on this kayak. All right, let's see what our top speed is. 1.4, 1.5 right now. I'm not even going full speed yet. 2, 2, 4, 0. 2, 1, 2, 2. There's 3.4 right now. Three, 4. And I assume the flatter I can get this. 2, 3. 3, 4. So it's about a 0.1 mile per hour difference between holding onto this and not. So there is going to be some resistance gained there. 3.4 miles an hour with just your Ridgid. Pretty impressive. It's a watt hog. I already knew this Ridgid was a power hog. Knowing that, I wanted to bring multiple just to see what the distance was on each one. There it is, battery just died. So we have gone 0.3 miles on a 1.5 amp hour battery, just straight out. Of course, you can wait a second and go again, but yeah, this is definitely spinning a lot easier now. I would assume if you put some lube in there, it'd do even better. I don't even need gloves. We are at 30 degrees out today. And I saved one battery for our get home. I have had a lot of instances of these keyless chucks loosening up as time goes on these Ryobis, even after cranking it down. And I'm assuming it's going to be worse with something that's a lot more impactful. Let's see here. See if I can rotate us real quick here. Okay. You do have reverse on these as well. That's what I'm doing right now, reversing at 0.4 mile per hour. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing, high speed. Go forward. Ooh, wow. Yeah, if you just kick it, man, that's got a lot of torque. Three 6. 3.7, still getting up there. 3.8. So you get about a 3.6 mile per hour average on this. Having the shaft support with your other hand makes a big difference. Plus makes it easier to turn. And you can tell I'm not reaching out very far, and I'm able to turn pretty quickly. We do have some cavitation at this speed. Not much, just a little bit. I think it's sucking air down with the shaft that's going into the water, and that's your cavitation. There we go. So if you use this for little bits, you know, you go for a while, coast, go for a while and coast, you're gonna get a lot more longevity out of these batteries. They definitely don't like being constant use like that at full strain. And I can feel the force against it. It's pretty decent. And when you get tired on one side, you just switch over to the other, like this. So I'm assuming if you slowed this down to about, I don't know, 2 miles an hour, you'd get some pretty decent distance. We're going 2.3. This is about my average paddling speed when I'm just kind of taking it easy. So if you were racing with somebody that's paddling, I think the paddler would have the advantage just slightly. Of course, you wouldn't be huffing and puffing at the end. And long distance, unless you're an athlete, this will definitely get you a little further. A few batteries at least. Takes a little bit to get used to it. One thing not discussed is trigger fatigue. Man, you definitely feel that because you're squeezing with your thumb. You would think it'd be a lot easier, but it really isn't. We've been going for, what is this? How long? 23 minutes and 30 seconds total. And I'm feeling it. But a minute break like that makes a big difference. Yep, that's where the air is coming from, is the shaft. The flatter you can lay it, the better off. It's really cool. That'll be fun to look at. I wanted to get one little clip like that. Let's see if I can get back on course here. Realistically, if you went a nice slow speed like this, so we're going 1.4 right now? Yeah, 1.4. This is slightly slower than paddling. Five, 2, just like that, man. Doesn't take much. So if you kept it a steady 2.2 mile per hour, which is your normal paddling speed, have a feeling you'd be able to go a long way. I'm almost out of lake. There's a reason I did the small lake with this. Not only did I want to bring multiple drills just to see what each one was capable of, but then I also wanted to, you know, have an easy way out if things go wrong. Give myself a little rest here. I know I said full out until the battery dies, but hands are getting tired. So I've done a lot of reading on the outboard motors. Those are little electric outboard motors. And I was highly interested in something like that, just because you could steer it ideally from here. But after reading a lot of the reviews, when you've got a midpoint mounted motor, and yeah, I'm not saying it's right in the middle, but it's closer to the middle. When you've got a motor that's mounted not on the absolute rear of the craft, steering becomes a whole different thing. And instead of turning when it's mounted on the side here or side here, when you're turning, instead of turning, it actually just pushes you sideways. So you've got it going straight and you're going fairly straight, but as soon as you turn sideways, it just pushes the whole craft sideways while you're still facing forward. You don't have much of a keel to kind of direct you, and without that, you really do run into some challenges as far as keeping your directions the way you want them to be. Unless you had a motor with a keel on it to help direct your angle as well. And until you get to speed, it just wants to turn you initially. So you have to get your speed up to go straight. That's what it is. So I came across the same thing going forward with this. Once I get my speed up, then it goes straight. Doubles as a paddle. That's funny. It's also fan speed. So for anybody that's been wondering what this is like, hopefully this will tell you quite a bit. So going 1.2 miles on a 4 amp hour battery. So that is the distance. Now this is flat water, not moving, no wind. So I don't have a headwind or anything crazy like that. No headwind, no moving water. It's just flat, kind of very still water today. I am able to get on a 4 amp hour battery with this Ryobi 1.2 miles distance at about 3.5 miles per hour. And that's a pretty decent pace. That's a little bit faster than what I typically paddle. I had no problems with this loosening up this time either. What I'm going to try to do is get these drills up in the front. You got to offset that weight, balance it out a bit. All right. This one, DeWalt 20 volt. We're going to get the top speed on this, just to see what it is. But first I'm going to play around a bit. This one is a 3-speed, so I'm going to go ahead and kick it up to top speed here. Let's go forward. Wow. A lot more torque. I have to be very careful with that trigger. This is not a brushless motor either. Wow. Get that speed up slowly. Jeez. Definitely cruising a lot faster. 4.5. But the drill is kicking out. That's weird. It's not overheating. I think it's the trigger wearing out. .5 miles an hour. That's pretty impressive, actually. I'm getting a little cavitation on that prop now. We're cruising pretty quick. We've already gone half a mile on this thing and it's down 1 bar out of our 3. But to go half a mile that quickly, that's impressive too. I could definitely see how an outboard motor you could get pretty good distance on one of those. But for 50 bucks, that's how much this little shaft cost, was 50 bucks. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, currently I would consider this more of a novelty item. You can get some pretty good distance on it though. I mean, we've already gone 2 miles. Given it's between 3 drills, but you know, 2 miles. That's 2 miles an hour right there. Oh, jeez. Man, that jump on the variable trigger. It feels like a good 20 pounds. This is about the top paddling speed I've got in me. So I'm able to go as fast, you know, full out. I'm able to go full out paddling speed with no effort, other than holding the drill back. I'm just following the shoreline here, avoiding trees in the water. .3 miles an hour right now. All right, our update is the distance is 2.71 miles on that 2.71 miles total now on that 5 amp hour battery. So I'll have to subtract that from the I think it was 1.5. So we've gone another 1.5 miles, I think, which is pretty impressive. Getting back up to speed. This is our last battery to get back home. Whee! All right, so our total time out here has been 1 hour and 25 minutes. So that's 3 drills, a 1.5 amp hour, a 4 amp hour, and a 5 amp hour. The DeWalt definitely sucks up the juice the most, but you're going 4.5 miles an hour. Now, if it had a better trigger on it to where you could adjust your speed a little easier, because it kind of jumps in stages, especially between about 3/4 and full out. So you've got a big jump between that two little zones there. So at 3/4, you're going a good 3 miles an hour, maybe a little faster, but then it jumps to full out where you're going 4.5, 4.6. So our specs are top speed is 4.6, and we have gone a total distance between all those drills 3.42 miles. So if you anticipate about 1.25 miles per 5 amp hour battery on the DeWalt, you can actually go some pretty decent distance, you know, 2.5 miles with 2 batteries. So that's something to consider. And it's 0 effort involved. That's the beauty of it, is you just kind of stick it out to the side and you just go. And I've got not a whole lot of weight in here. You know, I've just got maybe 30 pounds up front between the drills, the batteries, the backpack, drone, all my gear. So it's not a whole lot of weight. I wanted to bring Tyler with me just so I'd have some front ballast weight, because he's about 140 pounds. So that would have been a good example of realistic views. I've got a little bit of a headwind here right now. It's not very much. It's just enough to drift the smoke behind me a little bit. And so yeah, it's not so bad. So I've got about 1.5 miles to paddle back now, maybe 2 miles. We'll see. But and actually I'm gonna keep this open to my specs here just to see my speed. Right now it says I'm going 0.5 miles an hour, which means I'm being pushed back about 0.5 miles an hour, I think. Either that or it's residual from just the forward motion before. So I'm gonna assemble my paddle here. And we will see what our speed is between multiple different speeds here. So I'm gonna go nice and slow while trying to hold the camera too. So I'm looking at my phone and going. So right now, 1.5 miles an hour. Let's keep going this pace and see what it tops out at since I just started. 2.3, 2.4. So my average moving pace is about 2.4 miles an hour. And that'll vary between 2.4 and 3. And we got a lot of airplane activity up there all of a sudden. And then I'm not gonna go full speed, but I'm gonna kick it up a bit. Yeah, 4.4. My max paddling speed is roughly about the same as that drill prop. But you cannot keep, well, I shouldn't say you, I cannot keep that pace for very long. My typical pace, so right now 2.3. This is about standard. So I'm going pretty good. Not super easy, but not super difficult. 2.3, 2.4 miles an hour. It's a pretty decent pace. Thank you for joining me on this fun little adventure, testing out the drill prop. I think I had a pretty good time. Plus, it's just fun to get out here. Maybe not here specifically because of the highway noise, but if it wasn't for that, this would be the perfect lake. All right, let's wrap it up, get home before it gets too dark.